My favorite animal to hunt. Big, mature, dominant whitetail bucks.
Look at the mass on him. He's mature.
You've got a small window of opportunities to make it count. Sometimes you bring them home and sometimes you don't.
Put my top pin right behind his front shoulder, squeeze the release, and the rest was history.
One slip, one mistake for me, and that animal's gone. And once you make that shot, that is the greatest feeling in the world, and that's why I bow hunt.
Holy cow! He is a stud of a buck. He's 5 years old. This is what you hunt for.
They are the smartest, most adaptable, big game animal in North America.
Yes, give me a second. Right there. Yes, he's coming up the door. Are you on him? Are you on him now? I'm gonna have to shoot him. Watch him. Watch him. That's what I'm talking about. That looks like that big buck that was with that doe. He must have left her. Give me a second. White buck. You can hear that HS call in my pocket. He's broke 2 points, and I didn't even realize that, but we don't care.
I make mock scrapes, and one of the primary things I do with a mock scrape is I will make it and I will put a trail camera on it, and I will see what's using it, and I will start making these in mid to late October.
The number one way to use trail cams is the pre-rut period. Deer, when they rut, they make scrapes, and a lot of the scrapes that are made by white-tailed deer primarily are at night. So a good way to know what deer is hitting that scrape or in your area is to put a trail cam over a scrape.
You've got a primary scrape, which usually I find those in travelways where you have 2 or 3 or 4 different types of trails that are crossing one another. If you ever locate a primary scrape, they're usually about the size of a car hood. If you find one of those and you have a way to hunt those where they're not too close to the center of a bedding area, first thing you can do is set up a trail cam. Set a trail cam on one of those scrapes, start seeing what's coming to it. If you can do that, you're going to increase your odds of trying to put that dominant buck down.
We got a buck on the bad boys, you can see, good buck, but this tells you they're here. This is normally a pretty good indication of big deer. You know, this tree's 10, 12 inches in diameter, hitting it on both sides of the tree. Got 2 or 3 other big rubs off the hillside right here behind us. Got several going up through here, scrapes and rubs. I'm pretty sure I got this deer on cuttyback up the hill here about 40, 50 yards on a scrape. When we get back to the house, we'll check it out on the computer and see, but I'm pretty positive we do. We actually have got a set right in here. You can't see it from where we're at, but it's a west wind set right on top of all the action.
Yeah, there's a good cuttyback picture.
Yeah.
Look at there, there's another one. Look at the character on that buck. You do a lot of mineral sites, don't you?
It's just an easy place to inventory all of our deer. We have about 80 of them, and we'll freshen them up. We keep them rolling year after year. It's really cool on these sites. I think I might flip this one to video mode, see them actually working it. I put a lot of trail cameras out on mineral sites. In Ohio, we are legal with mineral sites. Or I might, you know, it's all about the bean fields in July. The bucks in the evenings are coming out. So if I kind of know over years past this particular corner or whatever, yes, I might have some cameras just covering a corner of a bean field. But I rely on a lot of mineral sites. I rely on in states like Illinois where you couldn't have a mineral site, apple trees are golden. If I have a 300-acre farm that has an apple tree on it, and you got it on that apple tree, every big buck during a week's time is gonna visit that apple tree.
You're looking at a dominant buck right here on Dominant Bucks.
For the pros of Dominant Bucks, locating and patterning mature whitetails is a passion. So when it comes to finding these bucks, one tool that's worth its weight in antler is the digital scouting camera. With proper use, a quality camera will monitor game movement 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And hunters can see resident deer on the hoof in images that allow estimates of the animal's age, antler size, as well as the date and time the camera was activated. Information that's essential to patterning mature bucks. There's more Ultimate Trail Cam tips when Mathews Dominant Bucks returns.
This portion of Mathews Dominant Bucks is presented by Heumann Extendable Tree Saw, the shooting lane saw.
I'm Dean Scott. Dominant Bucks will be right back. Yes, man, look at the mass. He carries his mass out all the way to the ends, got good beams.
I'm Stan Potts, and this is Dominant Bucks.
That's what I'm talking about. A big, heavy, mature 9-point.
Not only do modern scouting cameras take crisp photos, but some models even record video footage. Scouting camera innovator Mark Cuddyback started tinkering with scouting camera ideas in the late 1980s. And today, the fruits of his labor give hunters a definite advantage over years past.
I started making scouting cameras in 1988, and the reason I got into this is because I wanted one for my deer hunting. I was hunting a 6-hour drive from where I lived, and I needed something to help me hunt. At that time, nothing was available on the market, so I had a degree in electronics, so I used that to design my first scouting camera, which at the time I called the Deer Finder. Now every hunter has one camera. A lot of hunters have 3 to 5 cameras. Outfitters are using 10 to 20 cameras, and the market's huge. When I got my first roll of film developed, in the summer of 1988, there was 24 pictures on this roll of film, and there were squirrels, fawns, bucks, bigger bucks, smaller bucks, and I was instantly sold on the concept that a scouting camera was a very, very valuable tool. And we look for ways to give the customer, the end user, the best camera possible for what he wants. And what he wants is to take pictures of deer.
The trail cam revolution over the years, one thing that I've seen, especially in my county that I live and my friends, I think it made indiscriminatory bow hunters who would just go out and shoot anything. Now that you see what is living on your property or what's living behind your mom's house or what's living, you're more apt to pass on that 115-incher, that 120-incher, because you know what's walking.
When you're in the woods and you've protected all those yearling and 2.5-year-old bucks, you see so many more bucks during your hunt, which leads to hunter excitement and leads to a really great experience.
Well, it's Monday, November the 1st. We're going to come in here and hunt this afternoon, but before we wanted to check our cuddy bag just to see what we've been getting on over the scrape. And we hunted yesterday afternoon. It gets dark around 6:30, and this is what we had come in about 30 minutes after we got out of the stand. So we're gonna hunt here for the next couple days and see if we can't bag this big guy right here.
Hunting with Carter Outdoors, getting it done. This is how we do it. Oh man.
I have 3 scenarios that I really try to use my trail cams for. First is early season. Mineral licks, soybean fields, different things, trying to locate a big buck that we want to target to try to kill. When the season comes in, I move them from those sites. And then about mid-season, I put them on doe feeding areas. Our stand's here a couple hundred yards back up in here. As you can see, there's a food plot we've planted that hadn't really done much yet. But we got some green beans out here in the big field. What we're doing is trying to catch these mature bucks right on the edge of their bedding area, coming out right before dark, headed out, coming down this funnel area, headed to this bean field. Stay with us. It should be a good afternoon. As you can tell, I'm not pouring sweat, which is normally the case for the Georgia bow opener, but it's nice this year, so stay with us. My early season tactics is green source. You know, bucks are in their bachelor groups. They've got a strict pattern. If they're not every day on the same pattern, every other day they're on the same pattern during the early season, and there's normally 4 or 5 bucks in a wad together. So if you can find a bachelor group that's feeding in a green patch, whether it be soybeans, clover patch, or whatever, Most of the time, if you can be patient and let that first 3.5, 4.5-year-old deer go, you can get a crack at a really mature buck being a 5.5, 6.5-year-old deer, because he's going to be right there with his fellow hunting buddies or his partners coming in that food source to feed. First day in 2013 in Illinois, Georgia, and that is a smoker for Georgia, boys. I mean, a smoker. That is a dominant buck. Right here's where I shot him, and he snowplowed right through here. My arrow probably broke off somewhere here. Let's see if we can find some blood in the arrow. There's my arrow right there. That muzzy must have broke off in him. Can't be too far over here. Look at there, folks. Laid back perfect to us. Look at that. Is that not a great Georgia opener buck or what? Still ain't got a little bit of velvet on him. Big old giant brow tines, great 3s and 4s. I tell you, as you can probably see from right after the kill shot, this is a great buck for us on the Georgia opener. Just truly excited, blessed to be here, and just can't get any more emotional than that. I tell you, a good friend of mine let us come up and hunt, and this is last 2 years we've killed great bucks on opening day, and this tops last year's buck.
This portion of Mathews Dominant Bucks is presented by Polaris, hardest working, smoothest riding.
This Dominant Bucks flashback is presented by Scout Look Weather's free mobile phone apps, enabling you to hunt smart.
The reason why we boat in, it's a great way to get in and get out without leaving any scent whatsoever. So I boat right up to the tree, get up on the edge, let the wind blow over the lake, and then I never have to worry about overhunting this stand or burning this particular stand. But the wind is perfect. Cold front blew in, and we're hoping that he shows up and I get an arrow in him. I'm pretty excited about tonight. I think I just smoked him. There he is, right there. Oh, God. And that, my friends, is a dominant buck. We come into this stand, this front food plot. I go to extremes to get in and out without burning the stand. I literally boat in. I've got cutty back pictures of him. I've got cutty back video of him.
It's looking like this is where we're gonna put it on this tree here. The run is clearly coming through right here. There's an old rub which tells me that bucks have used this in the past. Back here it's really, really thick, so there's a good chance we'll put this cutty back at an angle that way. You want to make sure that you clear enough branches, because if you get a windy day and the branches start moving around a little bit, you'll get you'll get pictures of exactly what it is, the branches moving around. So we're hoping that this buck shows up in our back food plot. Last year he was about 130 and he was about a 4.5-year-old, so never got an opportunity at him last year, but the year before we actually picked up his sheds, and I mean, you know, they might not be huge to a lot of you guys, but he was about like this. But I did have an opportunity at him. I figured he was about 3.5 that year.
What we got here is a natural pinch point. It's November 20th. The rut's been in full swing for a while. We're trying to find new transition areas where these deer are moving through. We have a 10-acre pond back here with a big draw that runs below the dam with a slough in it. As we come over here, we got a big CRP bedding area with another brushy pasture to the north with a draw coming out of it. Right here, the two draws intersect one another. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go in here, try to find a couple deer trails, set up a cuddy back, and see what's been using these two draws where it pinches down. Okay, this is what we're looking for. The big CRP fields over here, the brushy draws over here. We got a trail coming in here, a trail coming from this way. A lot of rubs, good rub line, even a scrape or two over there. I'm gonna set this cuddy back on this tree. You always want to put your cameras in a northerly direction so the sun don't glare your pictures, so you can tell exactly what deer you got. So we'll hang this here and check it in a day or two and see what kind of bucks are roaming through the area.
Here he comes.
In the area that I do most of my hunting is called the Driftless region. Now these are the bluffs, the hills, and the hollows of the upper Mississippi River. Hunting pressure is immense. There's a lot of big farm families and a lot of people that hunt in a lot of different ways, and these bucks are smart. They know exactly where people aren't able to access, and these bucks will find these little honey holes and corridors where they can hide out and stay safe.
The exciting conclusion to Ross Moline's Iowa buck hunt when Matthews Dominant Bucks returns.
I'm Jason Sebo, and this is Dominant Bucks.
Threw a snort wheeze at him, came in on the decoy perfect.
He starts out as a button buck. Then a year and a half, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, they get into that upper age class where we think they are a big dominant buck. They've learned every trick in the book, so you better be on your game. They are the smartest animal, in my opinion, in North America, and you better keep that in mind.
We are done in Kansas, baby.
We're hunting late season here in Missouri. I'm going to get my cuddy back ambush set up. I'm going to get set on this fence gap. One of my favorite places to be able to put a trail camera. It really locks the deer down, lets you know what's coming into it. Deer are just like we are. I mean, even though they can jump a fence, if they've got an easier route to take, they're most definitely going to take it. So we're going to get these cameras set up. We'll get some pictures on top of this purple top food plot. We're going to be hunting this food plot here for the next couple days, and I'd like to get a survey to see what's coming and visiting this.
You know, a lot of times these bucks that you get on trail camera in the middle of summer aren't going to be in your area when fall comes. I call these bucks ghosts. They slip in during the summer and they slip out during the fall. When you're thinking about places to hunt during the late season, a lot of times you're going to go back to some of those places that produce during the early season. You know, you're talking about beans, you're talking about farm crops, you're talking about things that are going to draw these deer in. Generally, the colder, the better. When it gets cold, these deer have to move to survive. So when these big cold fronts hit and it starts to snow, that's the best time to be out there.
Matt.
Talk about last minute, baby. Talk about last minute. Yeah, baby, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Whew. Talk about going down to the wire here in Iowa, baby. Whew. Man, I'm freezing. I can't even feel my hands. That was 20 minutes worth of blood on the snow, some blood on the leaves. There he is right there, baby. Yeah! Woo! That's what I'm talking about. Look at that. Wow. Big old 8-pointer. Well, I finally got it done here in Iowa. Big old high-tined 8-pointer. Couldn't be happier. Took me all the way to the end of November. Coldest day of the year, -2 this morning.
But Richie Wilhelm blew into town and we got in the tree, and this is the end result. Big, high-tined Iowa 8-pointer on the ground here in Iowa.
Let me tell you the secret to success. The secret is there is no secret. There is no shortcut to success when it comes to hunting mature, dominant bucks. You gotta do it all. You gotta cover all the bases to get it done. There is no shortcut. A secret to me means a shortcut, so there is none. So you do your homework, you get all the information that you can, and then you put it to work, and you work, and you work, and you work, and you will be successful. You get out of it what you put in it. No secrets.
Couldn't be happier here in the late part of November to get one on one of my food plots. I do a lot of work here on the farm, and with the help from my family,